Regarded by many as one of the greatest of all Titan legions and an exemplar of its kind, the Legio Gryphonicus, or War Griffins to give them their more common appellation, was to suffer a trial by fire during the dark days of the Horus heresy, and remain true to their oaths to the Imperium and unwavering in battle against the traitors. Griffin IV, the world of the Legio's founding, was known to have been a seat of technological might according to ancient myths predating the Age of Strife, and so formed one of the earliest attempts of the Martian Mechanicum to reach out into the darkness during the Age of Strife. While many such missions resulted in failure, doomed before the Emperor's intervention in the creation of the Navis Nobelite, and many of the Mechanicum arcs were sundered or lost without trace, the expedition to Griffin V met with great success. This was likely a process of conquest over what local inhabitants remained, rather than colonisation on the Mechanicum's part, although the truth of this matter has long since been sealed and forgotten by the Imperium. What is known is that after the founding of the Forge World of Griffin IV, it quickly established itself as a power in its own right, expanding to dominate a pocket empire of 8 nearby star systems, which came to be known as the Griffin Octad. Over the centuries that followed, the Mechanicum domain prospered and managed to maintain communication, albeit infrequent and fragmented, with distant Mars. Swearing its domains and arms to the service of the Great Crusade, Griffin marched to war at the Emperor's call and would see its Titan Legion, one of the largest and most ably equipped outside Mars, see immediate action on many battlefronts. Having extensive experience and proven tactical doctrines in fighting alongside the infantry forces of the Griffin Octad, the Legio Gryphonicus quickly gained a reputation for skill in close support of ground troops, and so was much in demand for assignments to the various expeditionary fleets. The Legio, however, was loath to split its forces unduly on deployment, and instead served generally as an independent heavy contingent assigned to various war zones as strategic needs dictated. This in turn led to Legio Gryphonicus amassing battle honours alongside the Dark Angels, Imperial Fists and Death Guard Legion Astartes at various times, and saw their inclusion in the order of battle for some of the most famous and vital campaigns of the Great Crusade, such as the Rangdan Xenocides and the Ulanor campaign. The martial culture of the War Griffins was one of fierce pride and honour. They valued discipline and skill amongst their Titan crew highly, and each Princeps and Moderati strove to add glory to their own name and that of their bloodline and legio, much in the manner of their kin in the Night Houses. Each Titan of the Legio Gryphonicus, in consequence, became noted as being a visual testament to the war engine's own history of war, as well as the distinctions and battle honours earned by its crew. So it was that when the War Griffins went striding to war, thunderous sirens howling and bedecked in heraldic banners proclaiming their might, it was taken as a sign to rejoice by the Imperialis Auxilia, who held the Legio's arrival as an avatar of victory or salvation in the midst of battle. This lust for glory and individual achievement with the Legio's ranks did, however, lead to legendary rivalries among its Princeps, and highly structured mechanisms were imposed for resolving such affairs of honour through duelling, a tradition that was held in abeyance, however, during open battle. Such martial temper also led to some of its commanders, particularly those assigned to god engines such as the Warhounds already noted for their aggressive animus, to develop reputations for impetuosity in battle and refusal to retreat even when faced with the most overwhelming odds. Key also to their character was a fanatical loyalty to the Emperor and the ideals of the Imperium, beyond even to the ties of the Mechanicum. It was this loyalty that was to count them amongst the War Master's foes without question when he turned traitor. As the Great Crusade progressed into its later phases, the success of the Legio Gryphonicus on campaign, in conjunction with its size, led to it being assigned feudal rights as garrison wardens of a number of Mechanicum outposts and stations dispersed across the Imperium. This served to both extend the Legio Gryphonicus's range and striking distance from its home base on Griffin IV, with which it already retained close ties, and finally to splinter its fighting force into several subgroups rather than the sledgehammer concentration of might it had been used to operating as. It remains unclear in retrospect whether this was mere happenstance of fate, or perhaps whether it was part of the War Master's overall plan to scatter major forces he could not directly control prior to his revolt. Regardless of this, when the Horus heresy bloodily erupted, this powerful Titan Legion was scattered and unable to respond as a coherent force against the rebellion. It is a testament to the prowess of the War Griffins that the changing landscape of galactic conflict, shaped by unexpected foes and shifting loyalties and the fragmented nature of their fighting force, did little to dampen their contribution to the Imperium. The long years of the Great Crusade had prepared the Princeps of Legio Gryphonicus to function beyond the vigil of a single centralised command structure, and the War Griffins saw themselves participate in some of the most gruelling and influential battles of the Horus Heresy. Indeed, the honours they had won during the Great Crusade had set them as garrison wardens of worlds of strategic import, and many War Griffin elements quickly found themselves within the path of the War Master's advance. On planets such as Paramar V and Molech, Legio Gryphonicus sacrificed much in their attempt to hold the machinations of their foe. From war zones in which the War Griffins emerged victorious, of which there were many during the Horus Heresy, the surviving Princeps took bitter pride in the tally of foe they had slain. For though the nature of such conflict was not one they had sought, the martial pride that ran through the Legio was sated by the knowledge that on countless battlefields, Legio Gryphonicus stood above all other Titan legions. The final tally of victories, defeats, honours and losses earned by the War Griffins during the Horus Heresy was not to be counted for some time. It was not until the dark years of the Scouring that the tides of war would see the surviving War Griffins gathered together again on the mustering grounds of the plain of Achamedos on the forge world of their founding.